recently, in an effort to extend these previous models, I proposed a model called the direct and indirect effect model of writing, and I call it DIEW, DIEW.
Okay. And so just to review before we jump into hearing more about the DIEW model, so there's the steps. So you said, the generation of ideas, the translating those into oral language, and then transcribing those into written language, and then the revision or editing process, right? Those are the steps in the writing process. And I know there's some people might break that into a few more steps or things like that. And then you were saying within each of those steps in the process, what are the skills that are needed in order to be successful? And that's what some of these models have done. So can you talk about a little bit more about the model you created, the direct and indirect effects model of writing?
Absolutely. So, the process that I just talked about, it's not really linear, right? Sometimes, it's definitely recursive and iterative, right? What I tried to do was articulate the component skills and knowledge that contribute to writing and directly map those different component skills and knowledge to different parts of the writing process that we just talked about. And additionally, and I think this is actually very important, it articulates the nature relations, how things are related to each other among component skills and knowledge. So this is actually quite complex, and so bear with me a bit.
And as you explain the model, I encourage the listeners to check the show notes for a visual of the model that Young is going to talk us through right now.
Great. So in this building structure, it looks like a house. It may look like a pantheon to some people. What you see here is on the roof are reading comprehension and written composition. And they're placed on the roof because they require or they're built on all the other skills and knowledge that are below the roof. And you'll also see two pillars. One pillar is called the lexical literacy skills and handwriting and keyboarding skills. And the lexical literacy skills are word reading and writing skills at the word level. So they include word reading and spelling. And these are one of the pillars because these are necessary for reading comprehension and written composition. Handwriting and keyboarding skills are necessary only for written composition, but not for reading comprehension. The other pillar that supports the roof is called oral discourse. Oral discourse refers to comprehending and producing oral text at the discourse level. So, for example, listening to stories and comprehending them, sharing about your winter break in oral context, describing different types of dinosaurs. All these things in an oral language context are examples of oral discourse. Oral discourse skills are now the other pillar because this is also necessary for reading comprehension and written composition. These are in the pillar because if either the lexical literacy pillar or oral discourse pillar are absent, the building structure cannot stand, right? So both are necessary. Now look at the beam that connects the lexical literacy pillar and oral discourse pillar to the roof. That's text reading fluency and text writing fluency. They're placed there because they act as a bridge connecting the lexical literacy and oral discourse skills to reading comprehension and written composition. Now let's move to the foundational stone under the lexical literacy pillar. That is what it takes to develop lexical literacy skills. And this includes print-related emergent literacy skills such as knowledge and awareness of phonology, orthography, and morphology. So what this means is that word reading and spelling skills are built on phonological awareness, orthographic awareness, and morphological awareness. Let's turn to the oral discourse pillar. The foundation that supports oral discourse skills, discourse skill include higher order cognitions and regulations. And what do I mean by them? They include making inferences, understanding multiple perspectives called perspective taking, reasoning, setting goals, monitoring, self-enforcement, etc. An oral discourse skill also requires foundational oral language skills such as vocabulary and grammatical knowledge, right? So for you to understand and produce stories, you need to be able to make inferences, understand different people's viewpoints, and vocabulary and grammatical knowledge, etc. And at the very bottom or foundation of the building are domain general cognitive skills and executive functions. And they include, for example, working memory, inhibitory and attentional control shifting. And they're placed at the very bottom because these are necessary for all the skills and knowledge that we discussed. And these are actually necessary for all things, all learning, not just, reading and writing, but math and other things. Now inside the building, there are two kind of window-looking pieces. So close to the oral discourse pillar is background knowledge. Background knowledge includes oral knowledge, content knowledge, and discourse knowledge. This is placed near oral discourse because it contributes to oral discourse and reading comprehension and written composition. Now the other window is placed near the lexical literacy pillar, and that includes social emotions towards reading and writing. These include attitude and anxiety toward reading and writing, self-efficacy about reading and writing, and self-motivation. And these are placed right here close to word reading or the lexical literacy pillar, because they develop very closely interacting with word reading, spelling, text reading and writing, and associated experiences.